Thank you for joining us here at CVTV News. It's the weekend of September 27th through the 29th. I'm Deedra Haven, glad to be back here with my co-host David Kerr.
Thank you, Deedra. It's nice to have you back. You know, we really missed you.
Well, thank you. I got a daughter married off in the meantime.
Well, good for you, and good for your daughter.
Yeah, I'm now an empty nester. So, our first story, I'd like to tell you about the Old Stone Warehouse in Fredericksburg. If you travel westward on Kings Highway, which is Business Route 3, cross the Chatham Bridge over the Rappahannock River, you're met by a traffic light at William and Sophia Streets. At that light, if you look to your left or southward, you'll see a multi-story building unusually close to the road. This is known as the historic Old Stone Warehouse. The city owns this 4-story building built by businessman Thomas Goodwin around 1813 on top of a 1754 tobacco warehouse that had been destroyed by a fire in 1807. It's one of the city's few remaining old working class buildings and has been used as everything from a brewery to a salt herring factory, which coincidentally reinforced the building by petrifying the wood beams. This building saw its share of cannonballs in the Battle of Fredericksburg in 1862 and witnessed the reconstruction of the Chatham Bridge in 1941, when it seemingly grew shorter in height by the raising of Sophia Street. Back then, the building was reinforced to stabilize the structure and prevent it from sliding into the Rappahannock. Fredericksburg officials are now pondering the impact on the historic site when new work on the bridge will commence next spring. Last year, an assessment indicated that the building's structural integrity may be compromised, requiring extra precautions to ensure that the building is protected. Fredericksburg Public Works says that part of those precautions include the installation of brace beams and vibration monitors.
That's interesting.
Yes. While there's no anticipated danger, yet out of caution, Fredericksburg officials have asked that the tenant, Jack Edlin, who rented since 1980, to vacate during the bridge work. He will leave in October, on October 6th, to move out of state in time for the end of October deadline. During the time there, Edlin founded the local chapter of Virginia Archaeological Society and has actively managed the historic site. His preservation efforts include tours and combing through river mud in the basement to find historic pieces like coins, Civil War equipment, and shards of porcelain. Edlin has coded each relic and recorded the item's excavation location in a registry book. He hopes that the Fredericksburg Area Museum or the Historic Fredericksburg Foundation will become the new caregiver. City manager, Virginia Department of Transportation, and the city council members are discussing the Old Stone Warehouse, but have yet to share a plan for its future.
It's going to be challenging. Do you think that, by the way, I wanted to ask you, do you think the Old Stone Warehouse is haunted?
I bet there are some stories there. I'm sure someone has tales of ghosts from it or other historical places around the town.
Well, that's exactly what I was hoping for. We need your ghost stories. Yes, we do. Lots of ghost stories. Halloween is almost upon us, and our region is full of ghost stories, hauntings, and apparitions of all sorts. Stafford, Fredericksburg, and Spotsylvania counties, with our rich history, particularly during the Civil War, as you pointed out, is the home to all sorts of ghost stories. That's why we want to hear your personal ghost stories. We at CVTV, to borrow a line from the famous movie Ghostbusters, ain't afraid of no ghosts. But we do want to hear about them. We do want to hear about them. So if you have a ghost story, a sighting, a tale, please share it with us at our special email address, cvtvghost@gmail.com. We'll try to get as many of the stories on the air as we can.
I feel like I need some haunting music in the background.
Well, we should have some. We'll work on that.
Well, I'm not sure if this location has any ghosts, but I'm sure it's got some tales to tell. And it looks like it'll be in the need of a new owner. Imagine reading this advertisement on a real estate website. Maintenance over the past 5 years on this 2,057 square foot Victorian era dwelling includes a replaced roof, remodeled kitchen, repair of its hidden gutter system, and lawn upkeep. The home boasts of being located on Washington Avenue with its lanes divided by a grassy mall, designated to provide a ceremonial gateway to the Mary Washington Monument. Built around 1896 of local granite with red-tinted mortar, it served as a visitor center and the home of Mary Washington Monument's caregiver. Its first residents were Judge John T. Gulrick and his wife, who was the lodge custodian. The house was known as the Keeper's Cottage or the Caretaker's Cottage until 1979, when it was dubbed the Monument Lodge. It has 8 rooms, including 3 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, and sits on a landscaped garden adjacent to the Mary Washington Monument. Does this pique your interest?
It does. It really does.
Okay, maybe you want to own a pre-owned but new-to-you historic home?
Yes, yes.
What this imaginary ad doesn't disclose is that the vacated properties are hard to maintain. It's as if when no one occupies a property, the lifeblood ceases to flow. This is the case of historic Mary Washington Lodge on Washington Avenue in Fredericksburg. While the city has done a good job of maintaining the property, it's been with great time, effort, and cost to keep it on life support, if you will. For that reason, City Council members voted unanimously to take steps towards putting the Mary Washington Lodge on the market to ensure its proper upkeep and perpetual use as a residence early next year. This may come in the form of a tenant or ownership. If sold, the property will have restrictions to preserve its historical integrity. Rezoning will be required for a possible sale or lease. The Planning Commission will have public hearings in October, and the City Council will have its own public hearings in November or December. The Architectural Review Board will, no doubt, be closely involved too. If amendments are approved, the home will be subdivided from the 4-acre Mary Washington Monument Park and Gordon Family Cemetery, and strike the home's name from the Fredericksburg's Park and Recreation Inventory list of city-owned properties. While it will remain on the Historic Registry, the property will receive a new address. A proposed sale or lease of the property could come before the City Council for a public hearing and a vote in January. No doubt that realtors in the area will be vying for this as a listing agent.
Oh, I'm interested. Well, Crow's Nest is one of the largest undisturbed nature preserves in Northern Virginia. It's in Stafford. And last week, the Stafford County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to add 123 acres of forest land to the refuge, bringing the Crow's Nest acreage total to 3,064. The board's resolution took 4 properties purchased by the county through a grant from the Virginia Land Conservation Foundation and turned them over to the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation. That's the government agency that manages and protects the preserve we know as Crow's Nest. The Crow's Nest property was acquired and set aside as a wildlife preserve back in 2007, 12 years ago. It was originally slated for development. The process of establishing a wildlife preserve was complex and challenging. Paul Mildy, who served on the Board of Supervisors at the time and is now a candidate for delegate in the 28th House District, this year's election, was one of the early champions for Crow's Nest. And he said about the addition of the 123 acres, "It's tremendous to see the nature preserve I helped create continue to grow. The Crow's Nest is a jewel for our community, and I will continue to be its champion." It's hard to disagree with that sentiment. Crow's Nest is the nesting site for the American bald eagle. It's home to 60 species of migratory songbirds and is a spawning, nursery, and feeding habitat for 49 species of fish and 7 species of mussels and shellfish. It also serves as a habitat for the federally endangered species listed short-nosed sturgeon. So that's good. Some good news.
I'm happy about that. There's more local news coming up right after this.